Hey everybody, Gabby Turner here, and I wanted to address some questions that I received from one of my viewers, Val. She sent me an email telling me she's been learning tarot for a couple of years. I'm going to read her email here, and she had some questions uh, to ask me about starting a YouTube channel. So I'm just going to read the email, and then she has some specific questions. I asked her if it would be okay to share this publicly on my channel, just in case there is anyone out there who is also considering doing this and who might have similar questions. So she says, I won't say I'm advanced when it comes to tarot, but I've been learning tarot for 2 years now, and I feel quite confident. However, sometimes my readings don't resonate with others, and when that happens, it freaks me out. I've been thinking of starting my own YouTube channel where I do tarot pick-a-card readings. However, I'm a bit low on confidence. I was thinking before going on YouTube, maybe I should start doing live readings on Facebook as a starter. So it sounds like she's already started doing that on Facebook. So she asked, do you have any tips for me when I create my channel? And then she had some other specific questions as well. And I'm going to start out with that first part of the email that she's saying that when she does readings for people and they don't resonate, it freaks her out. So the thing is, nobody is going to be perfect in any field. There's kind of like, I think it's because people tend to be skeptical of psychic abilities and things like this. It's like that skepticism puts people in sort of a black and white mode of thinking, where they're like, well, either you're like basically omniscient, all-knowing, or you're not really psychic, and so it puts a lot of stress on someone to feel like you have to be accurate all the time, or else you don't really have an actual gift or something like that. We don't expect doctors to always make the correct diagnoses. It happens all the time that they don't. Or to always know exactly which treatment is going to solve someone's problem. We don't expect a doctor to always be able to heal someone 100%. We don't expect a professional basketball player to make every shot, and so although, because there are a lot of skeptics, because there is a lot of this mentality that people have that they hear psychic and they think, oh, you mean you're omniscient? No, a psychic is not omniscient. A psychic has a way of piercing the veil and knowing things without having a rational means of knowing those things. A tarot reader is someone who taps into that psychic ability using the tool of a tarot deck to help them tap into it. And so, yeah, I mean, even the very best tarot reader is not going to be accurate 100%. So if you feel like that bothers you, I would say, just to continue to think of it as I'm still developing in my skills. I don't know if you're charging people. Val, you didn't mention that in the email, but if you're charging people for readings and you kind of have to weigh it a little bit, like I've seen a lot of tarot readers say that they don't give refunds at all. I don't post anything about that, but I generally don't do that either. I don't often have people requesting that, and if I do, I kind of like, you have to weigh out a lot of things, like, was the reading 80% correct and someone wants a refund because it wasn't like 100% correct, which I get that response on occasion. Most of the feedback that I get is very positive and people feel like it really hits home, which is nice, because when I first started doing professional readings, I think that my percentage of being on target was much lower as well. But it's a process of learning, like you're still putting time and energy into it. So you might want to, if you are charging, you might want to just take that into account, that you're still kind of building those skills, and maybe just charge a lesser amount. You still deserve, if you are charging, if you've decided to do that, I feel like you still deserve, if you want, if that's your choice, then I think you still deserve to be paid for your time and energy. It takes a lot of energy to perform a reading for someone. And then sometimes it's not that the reading is not accurate, it's just that the person doesn't really like the answer. And so I had that situation once that I can think of. And the person, well, I don't want to get into drama. I don't want to make this video about drama, but you will encounter, one of the things she asks me is like, what can you expect when doing videos on YouTube other than nasty comments? That's one of her specific questions. Well, you're definitely going to get some nasty comments, but the vast majority are going to be positive comments or neutral comments. And then you're going to have situations where people are just crappy to you. And the thing is, whether it's a comment or it's someone who's gotten a reading from you and they didn't like it, there are moments when things like that are going to happen. It's going to be like a smaller percentage though. I mean, the larger percentage of it is that people are going to be very nice and people are going to be very uplifting and very positive. But in terms of getting freaked out, like developing yourself as a tarot reader, it requires practice. And, the more you practice and the more you take the feedback that you get from people, the more you will be able to develop and get stronger. So there's no reason to freak out. If it doesn't resonate, if you're doing it for free, then, you offered someone a free service and it didn't resonate. That's okay. Now, when it comes to pick a card video readings, I mean, gosh, there's a lot that goes into that in terms of someone getting a reading in a pick a card reading that strongly resonates. I know that since I started watching pick a card readings, I've gotten stronger in my ability to pick accurately for myself. So it's not just about the person making the YouTube videos when it comes to reading resonating like that. It also requires the viewer to be in touch with their own intuition. Those two things have to kind of merge. And when they do merge really well, like when a particular reader and a particular viewer are really on the same wavelength and both in touch with their intuition, and they pick that correct reading that you channeled correctly for them, like those are really profound messages. As a viewer, I've had those moments where I was like, wow, that was just like so accurate for me. So, and then there will be moments when someone watches a reading of yours and it absolutely doesn't connect with them at all. And sometimes people will leave mean comments about that. But that's a little bit entitled, on their behalf. And I feel like my advice is to do the best you can not to take it to heart. If you're a very sensitive person, you probably are still going to take it to heart though. And so that's something that you just might have to work through as well and practice the art of letting go emotionally of what people think and feel about you. Because if you're doing this work, you're willing to put yourself out there and take that risk, then you should be proud of yourself no matter what. What kind of risk is this negative commenter making? So those are my initial thoughts there. Okay, do you have any tips for me when I do create my channel? My biggest tip, I think, is like to stay true to yourself. Do what feels authentic for you. There are lots of different ways to approach tarot readings. And I think it's just important to stick to your own approach. Do the types of readings that you feel that you want to do, not the types of readings that you think, oh, this will get a lot of views. The very first reading that I had, my biggest video to date was my journey to marriage reading, which right now has, I think, like 460,000 views as of the day that I'm recording this video in March of 2020. It'll be posted later in April, but I didn't think at all. I didn't have much success with my channel when I posted that. I'd had one video up to that date which had gotten thousands of views. And that was a little bit of a petty reading topic. The first one I got that got thousands of views. It was about, who does he like more, you or the other girl? And I was just like, I even said in the intro, I'm like, I know this is a little bit petty, but it's a question we've all wondered before, right? And then when that one kind of started like getting like a lot of views, or to me at that point, like thousands of views, it was like a lot. I think now it's reached like 60,000 maybe, and kind of stopped there. But I was a little embarrassed. I was like, oh no. But then I've made other videos after that that didn't make that many. They were back down to like the normal lower numbers that I'd been used to. And then when I posted my journey to marriage video, it just like blew up, and it's continues to be like one of my most highly viewed videos at any given moment. It's always in the top 3 of my currently most watched. You know, like when you go into the analytics on the back side of YouTube, it'll show you the top 3 videos from the past 48 hours, like the videos with the top 3 view counts, number of views for the past 2 days, basically. And the journey to marriage is always, even now, still up there. And I posted that one in journey to marriage, maybe September or October of 2018. I started my channel, I believe, in August of 2018. One of your specific questions is, how did you start your YouTube channel? Oh, how long did it take you to grow your channel? So this is kind of answering that question a little bit. I mean, I started the channel August of 2018. So what does that make us? A little more than a year and a half out. I don't know how to answer that. I'm really close now to 33,000 subscribers. I don't know, how did I grow it? I mean, how long did it take? It just kind of gradually stepped up and up and up over time. Yeah, I mean, the journey to marriage one really kind of like propelled it for a while in terms of subscriber counts going up. And then, and last year, around this time last year, I decided to do monthly zodiac readings, and a couple months into that, for some reason, I had a set of those which were like, got each one, those are 12 videos each because there are 12 zodiac signs. Those were really popular, and that really blew up my subscriber count for a while as well. And then the views on those kind of went down. People got tired of them. And honestly, I kind of got tired of them because the 12 videos a month is a lot. And I just, like I said before, it's really important to do what feels good to you. And the Zodiac Monthlies just didn't feel that great to me. And, you know, I kept doing them longer than I kind of wanted to anyway, because they were kind of like doing really well for a couple months there, and for a few months there. But, you know, it just, you know, you have to think about, like, is it worth it? And when, this is another thing, like, I don't know if you're really wanting to make money off of this yet, or if this is more like an active self-expression. But in terms of the financial aspect of it, you know, the more you can just accept and believe that abundance is always there in one form or another, then there's no need to get attached to that abundance coming to you through a particular channel. Channel meaning through a particular avenue. You know, there was abundance coming to me through my Zodiac Monthlies for a while, because I was allowing people to purchase extended readings from those if they resonated. And then it kind of dwindled, and also my interest in it had actually dwindled before the abundance part of it dwindled. But the thing is, like I said, abundance will come to you in some way or other. So you don't have to get attached to it coming to you in one particular way and feel like you have to continue doing something that just doesn't feel right. Okay. So her next question is, how do you handle criticism? Oh, well, I talked to my therapist about it, which is true. Sometimes I do, and I've gotten to the point where I don't pay a lot of attention to my comments, not as much as I used to. When you do have a YouTube channel, you can go into the back side of it, and there's a place where you can click on comments, and it'll show you a list of all of your comments, your from newest to oldest, of any video. So you can just view all of the most recent comments. I used to look at that daily. I stopped doing that. I don't look at that. You know, I might look at that once every couple of months now. What I do is, like with my most recent video or two, I will go back in and look at the comments to those so that I can give people a heart or reply to something pertinent. But for one thing, I just don't pay quite as much attention to the comments. But like I said, like 90% of the comments are very positive. Another 5% are kind of neutral. And then maybe 5%, it's probably even less than that. Probably less than 5% are nasty comments. And some of those are just they're just ridiculous. It's like, why am I going to waste my time getting upset about this? Because it is just completely ridiculous. And then sometimes it is really hurtful sometimes. And how do I handle it? I mean, ignore it. Sometimes I delete the comment, which I used to feel like, is that censoring? Like I felt like I was censoring a little bit, and I felt like bad about it. And then I was like, yeah, but like they can express this opinion somewhere else. Also, like I'm not keeping them from expressing this opinion. But on top of that, like in a lot of cases, I'm kind of like, I'm saving you from embarrassment by deleting this comment, because this is making you, the commenter, look like a fool. I also just want to say, like, don't assume that just because some ninny out there made this comment, don't assume that other people agree with that. And if you see that someone has liked that comment, it was probably the person who made the comment themselves. It was not likely someone else who came along and did that. But so those are my things. There have been some moments when I've gotten a little snappy in return. I don't recommend doing that. I did that more early on. I don't do that anymore. Like these days, like I said, it's ignore or delete is kind of my attitude when it comes to those. But yeah, it does hurt sometimes. And I don't know if there's really any magic, solution to it. But that's the best I've got. And well, here's another thing I have to say about it though. Like people will criticize you because you got out there and you tried, but people will also criticize you if you just sit at home on the couch and don't do anything with your life. You know what I mean? Their criticism might not be on a public, venue like YouTube, but they're still going to be having critical thoughts maybe of you. And so like, if people are going to criticize you either way you go, you might as well go in the direction of your dreams and be criticized in that direction, because it's going to happen either way. What should I expect when doing videos on YouTube other than nasty comments? You should expect lots of interesting opportunities, some of which are going to be opportunities that are worth taking, and some are going to be opportunities that are not really worth taking. And so you're just going to have to kind of measure that out for yourself. But you're also going to make some really cool relationships with some of your viewers who interact with you a lot. And that's always nice. You're going to receive a lot of support and a lot of love, a lot of really genuine love and appreciation from perfect strangers. And some of them will come to feel like friends, even though you may not ever meet them in person. Next, she asks for a tip to boost confidence. I don't know about a tip to boost confidence. I think it's just kind of getting out there. It's kind of like, like when you're about to get in a swimming pool and it's a little bit cold, you just kind of have to wade in And it might be a little bit cold at first or scary in this sense, in this case. It might be a little bit scary at first. I will say, like, you know, I used to get nervous before when I would sit down to record a pick a card reading. I don't get nervous about that anymore. So part of it is just continuing to do it, and it will become less scary as you go on. I haven't done very many of these types of videos that I'm doing right now, where I just talk to the camera. And so I still feel nervous before I do these. So this is kind of a reminder to myself as well, like, and the more you do this, Gabby, the less it will feel nerve-wracking. And so I think building confidence is just something that's going to kind of happen over time. Other than that, you know, like the solar plexus chakra is the chakra most associated with confidence. And so you might want to do some solar plexus work. And that could be in the form of, you know, chakra cleansing, chakra healing meditations, or surrounding yourself with beautiful yellow color or images of sun, you know, anything like that. Or just giving yourself a pat on the back and say, I took a risk. I did something cool and I'm proud of myself. So your next question, how did you start your YouTube channel and what pushed you to do it? So this is an interesting question, and I think it would take, to really fully answer it, it would take quite a while, and the video is already over 20 minutes now. But how did I start my YouTube channel? In early 2018, I had never really watched YouTube before early 2018. I started noticing, I mean, the only thing that I watched YouTube for is like if there was a particular song that I wanted to listen to, I figured this will probably be on YouTube, so I would look it up. Or if I missed a segment from a TV show and I'm like, oh, I really wanted to see that interview of so-and-so on such and such, you know, TV show or whatever, then I would see, is there maybe a clip of this on YouTube? So I didn't watch YouTube really beyond that until in early 2018, I started noticing that my niece and nephew had particular channels that they watched, almost like TV shows. You know, it's like they were watching it just as almost like a primary form of entertainment. And I was like, oh, well, I feel so out of touch. And then I was like, okay, well, let me see what this is all about. Let me see if there's anything on YouTube that would be interesting to me. And so I got started watching more YouTube. At the time I was working third shift in a psychiatric hospital, which is a difficult job to do, by the way. Fulfilling in a way, but quite difficult. But a lot of times, because we were third shift, so we were there at night when patients sometimes were sleeping, sometimes very wide awake. But we would, if particular patients had safety concerns or something, or health concerns, we would be put on what was called close, which would usually mean like we might have to sit in a room for hours on end, like a dark room, while someone slept. And so we were allowed to, like, you know, play games or watch shows on our phones with earbuds, as long as we were obviously paying attention to the patient, because otherwise it was just too easy to fall asleep in a dark room with the sounds of someone sleeping, you know, breathing. So I watched a lot of YouTube there. But anyway, I still didn't know that people were doing tarot readings on YouTube. I'd been doing tarot. I started doing tarot in 2006. I started doing it professionally in 2009 for a handful of years. And then I kind of let it go by the wayside for several years because I wasn't making that much money at it. Wasn't getting that many clients at the time, but then around somewhere in like summer of 2018, maybe around May, June, something like that, I got my first pick a card recommendation showed up in my YouTube suggestions. And I was like, what's this? This is interesting. So I started watching some of those. And then one day I thought, you know, I think that I can do that. I mean, you know, I'm really good at tarot. I feel like I can make videos like this and be pretty successful. And so I started a channel, and I thought to myself, I think I can get 10,000 subscribers in a year. I don't know why that number, but I didn't feel like I was shooting for the stars. Like I was a total newbie. I just thought that seems accurate somehow that I could achieve that. I think in the first year I actually got twice that, maybe a little over twice that. And now I'm almost at 33,000. So that's how I started it. There's a little bit more to that story because I went through a pretty significant spiritual awakening in July of 2018, which is kind of part of what spurred me. And there was like a very significant increase in my psychic abilities in that time as well. I think I'm going to make a different video about that because that's a lot to talk about, and it is something that I want to share because I was at a pretty low point in my life then, and it's actually pretty miraculous. I reached out to God in some very fervent prayers, and as my prayers were answered, the healing process began, and part of that was my psychic abilities really opening up much more substantially than they had in the past. That was a part of it. There's a lot more than that, but so then I started the channel. I just thought, you know, I can do this. In the beginning, I didn't even have a camera that I could really record adequately with because my camera wouldn't, or my phone, because even today, I just use my smartphone to record my videos. I don't have a separate digital camera or anything. But yeah, so my first couple of videos, if you go back to the beginning of my video history, my oldest videos, they're not even recorded. It's like made in, what is that called? Oh man, like that you make presentations in for class. They're actually pretty good videos. What is that called? PowerPoint. I made my first videos in PowerPoint, but they're actually pretty cool, like spirit guide readings. And then finally my phone that I had at the time stopped charging completely, and I got a new phone, and that's when I started recording pick a cards. And then the last question here, the only one we haven't answered yet, is how do you stay motivated? It's a good question because sometimes it can be kind of draining, and what I found especially in the beginning is that because my energy is connecting with so many other people's energies, it can be more draining even than performing a personal reading. But I think through practice, I've kind of like built up my strength that it doesn't drain me now the way that it used to. And I think I've also learned to protect myself much better. So I have a better approach. But that's a good question. How do I stay motivated? My subscriber, you know, the number of subscribers I'm getting a month has gone way down. Even my ad revenue recently has gone down quite a bit. Everything a couple months ago just kind of like sunk. So that is a good question. How do I stay motivated? I remind myself of what motivated me in the beginning, which was that it was just fun to kind of like design a reading, like which cards am I going to use, what questions am I going to ask, you know, just to like plan it. It was like a creative process, and like making the thumbnails, it was a creative process. Just being in touch with what is enjoyable about it. I talked about this in my video where I explained why I was going on hiatus, but you know, I have definitely struggled with like an ego attachment related to the channel, and I think that probably kills motivation more than anything, because you start to get motivated by the view counts or, you know, that type of thing, and I think it's just not healthy. Like, I don't know, you need to be, I guess, intrinsically motivated. You know, recently one of the things I did was I took a hiatus, which I think is something that everybody needs from time to time, no matter what you do. Sometimes we just need to step back from something, even if it's something that we love, so that we can sort of remind ourselves of the love that we have for it. If any of you have ever read, I don't know if it shows up in the book Tom Sawyer or in the book Huckleberry Finn. I mean, both characters are in both books, but there's this whitewashing part of the book where he is given the chore of basically painting this fence white which they called whitewashing back then, but it was like painting it white. There was this, I don't think it was actually paint, it was something like paint that they used, but it was obviously a job, right? And he didn't want to do it. He's like, no. But what did he do? Like, he found these other kids, and he convinced these other kids that this was a fun thing to do, and that they should actually pay him in the form of like, oh, if you give me those Jackson and ball or whatever you have, or give me your quarter or whatever, I'll let you take a turn painting this fence. So it kind of just shows you that, you know, enjoyment versus labor, it's kind of just a matter of perspective. Yeah, I don't know if that's a very helpful or satisfying answer. How do I stay motivated? I just lately I keep thinking, you know, what feels, you know, just back to that, like what feels true to me, like what feels authentic to me in terms of the content that I want to put out. You know, I think I want to do more of these types of videos where it's like vlogs. I feel lately like doing less of the romantically themed pick-a-cards. I just don't feel as into those. I still like doing the personal readings on those, but I just don't feel as much like doing those. I feel like doing them some, but I also like, I just am more interested now in doing more like spiritual or personal growth oriented readings. So I guess that's part of it, is just like staying in touch with doing what you really like with the channel, so that it doesn't start to feel like an obligation. So that was a half hour of me talking. I don't know if anyone hung around till the end, including Val. You might have all clicked off by now. But anyways, I hope that all of you who viewed this did get something out of it, or if not, I appreciate you listening to me babble anyway. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.